You are listening to Realign Your Life podcast, where I discuss with you strategies on how to realign your life and move towards the direction you always want to. I am Vivian, the host of this podcast, and every week I will bring value on how to improve and realign your life either through a guest or my thoughts. I can't wait to share what we have this week. It's time to realign your life. Well, welcome back, everyone, to Realign Your Life podcast, where I bring value and share strategies on how to realign your life and move towards the way that you always want to. I am Vivian Richardson, the host of this show, and as I've shared with you, realigning is not always easy, but it is a process. And we all have to realize that. Realignment doesn't mean that you have to give up everything that you've already doing or that you're currently doing, but it does require being present in your own life. It also requires what I call becoming acquainted with the 3 Ps, which is purpose, passion, and potential. So all of those 3 are required as we are moving forward in realigning our lives and being conscious of who we are. So today, as I promised, we have a guest with us, and I am so excited to have her on board. This is a person that I've known for several decades, and I've observed her as she has realigned her life and gone through all of these different seasons. And I know that as we hear her story and as we listen to her today, that you're going to be just as excited about her as I am. So hold on to your horses as we get ready to meet my dear friend, Regina. So hi, Regina. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi, Vivian.
How are you?
I'm so glad to be here. I'm so excited about what you're doing. You are definitely living out your passion for helping women and encouraging, and I'm so glad to be part of your journey.
Well, thank you so much, Regina. So we have known each other for several decades, right?
Yes.
And you just up and left me here in Charlotte. But I am so excited for this new adventure. And I'm sure that what you're going to share with us today is going to be so exciting for some other people here, some of our listeners. And as they hear what you have to share about realigning your life, that they will find the courage or find the enthusiasm to move forward too. But before we get started, Regina, I want our listeners to know a little bit about you. If that's okay, I want to share that.
That's okay.
So, Regina is, and you know what? We don't find those people often, a native Charlottean. And that, of course, for those that are you listening outside of North Carolina, it is North Carolina. And so many people are moving here to Charlotte. And Regina hails from Charlotte. She's educated here. She's a mom, her 3 sons, and she has 2 beautiful, darling grandchildren who she says is the love of her life. And I can attest to that. because there's an old saying I saw once on a bumper sticker that said, "If I had known grandchildren were so nice, I would have had them first." So, Regina, I'm sure you can agree with me, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Because you can always give them back.
Yes.
With your kids. But Regina is a young mom, and as a young mom, she found herself in the midst of becoming single, being a single parent, and then she, as her marriage dissolved, and she was a divorcee. It wasn't always easy for her to be a single mom to 3 young boys. And she always had a desire and a dream to further her education. And this is something that she made a promise to her boys, that she would continue her education. And I believe when he was 15, her youngest son was about 15. Was that correct, Regina?
Yes.
That's when you decided to go back and begin your studies and further your studies. And so she is gone on to get her bachelor's and her master's degree and just moving forward. She became a homeowner. So I saw her grow through all of that and all of the transition and just finding her place in life. So we're going to find out how Regina was able to look to her faith and be able to surround herself with some positive people in her life, some positive women, and be able to move forward and realign her life. So, Regina, what really led you to feel that you needed to realign your life? Share with our audience.
So the realignment, Vivian, it's just developed over the years. There's been times that I just felt like, okay, it's time for an adjustment. If I felt myself falling into a funk or feeling sad or just woe with me, then it was time to do something, whether that meant taking a class or joining a group or joining a ministry at church, leaning into somebody who had reached out to me to befriend me. The development of realignment has been happening over the years. Now, you know that I just made a major realignment by leaving Charlotte after being born and raised in Charlotte. A major realignment happened just 6 months ago. And like I said, it was at a time where I just felt like I needed to do something different. I've learned that my personality after doing something, and I find myself in a situation where I'm not getting joy out of that. That is just my personality. It's time to do something different, whether it's popular, whether it's what a friend would do. I just know who I am. And that developed over time, getting comfortable with who I am.
So, Regina, with you saying that, what was really the turning point? As a single mom, being challenged with, I don't know if you had a support system there, or when you made that decision, how did that affect your relationships? And when I say your relationships, like with your family and some of your closest friends, when you made that decision that, hey, I'm not going to have any more pity parties, I need to do something different. What prompted that change, and how did that affect your relationships?
It affected my family relationships. It was it was really a tense time, dark time. I remember being 19 and having had my second child, as a teenage mom. And I've shared this with people over time that at 19, I felt myself, okay, this is not supposed to be happening to me. I want more for myself. And I remember sitting on my aunt's back steps after having that second child and coming to live with her so she could help me. And the Lord whispered to me, if you take care of those children, I will take care of you. And I believed him. I knew I could sit there and hold my hands and raise them on public assistance and be satisfied with the status quo, or I could dig my heels in and begin to work and learn how to handle money and learn how to parent and go outside my comfort zone, engaging other people. Because at 19, there is no way I knew how to be a good parent. It meant engaging people.
So I hear you saying that you had to take some steps to make those changes. And part of those steps, some of those steps were engaging people that were knowledgeable. And that's pretty courageous. And that's pretty inspiring as a 19-year-old and learning money management. So dig and share with us a little bit more about what those steps look like. I mean, who did you go to? How did you go to? Because I'm sure there is somebody out there listening that may be Regina.
So I come from a line where of family members who primarily the family was held together by women. And so although those relationships were not ideal, I began to look at my family and the people who were striving to do better, the people, how they manage their money, those who wanted to learn a little bit more. And, when I started working, my aunt that took on the second child and helped me raise him, I looked at her work ethic, how she went to work every day, whether it was she wanted to or not. She knew not working was not an option. So I learned, early in life, if you wanted to have something, if you wanted to build a life for yourself and your children, you had to work. And once I started working, I learned, as I said, to engage people on the job, women I had respect for. It didn't matter what the task was, menial or not. I learned to, what's the word I'm looking for? I learned to glean from other women. I learned to glean from them about their spiritual life, glean from them about befriending other women, taking care of yourself. So I guess those steps meant gleaning from others and putting into practice what I saw other women do. And when I look back now, I can see over the years how God has always placed other women in my life to glean from.
So Regina, in doing all of that, I know that, and all of that really sounds wonderful and a great place to start. And you were very fortunate in having women within your own family that you could look at and could glean from your word. But and I'm sure that even in doing so, as a young mom with two babies, that there were some challenges there for you. So share with us what some of those challenges look like.
Well, some of the challenges were in the family. So I come from a family where it's nothing to be proud of, but teenage motherhood was pretty much common. So my family did not disown you for being a teenage mother, but they also held you accountable. Once you became a teenage mother, they held you accountable for taking care of the child. They didn't just take over for you, but they would teach you how to take care of a child. Education, I wanted a better education, and that was unlike my family. So one of the challenges I faced was standing on what I believed in. I always thought that education was very important. And so one of my challenges in becoming a teenage mother was facing down those family members that, yes, you want an education and you think you're all that, but yeah, you just like the rest of us, you're a teenage mother. So I carried around guilt and shame after becoming a teenage mother, but I still had to hold in my mind and my heart my own personal goals, no matter what my family said or the people that knew me said in the community. I had to stay focused on my own goals and what I wanted for my children. And that was a hard time.
I love that, Regina. I love that because you know what? That gets really back to those 3 P's and even, purpose, passion, and potential. And even though as a 19-year-old, you were young, you were inexperienced, you had no life, real life lessons at this point, but you were still self-reflective and you were introspective. And so I hear you and I know you that there is a large spirituality that you carry about yourself. So tell me, how did that introspection, what did that look like for you?
Oh, that carried me through. I faced a lot of criticism about being a teenage mother and still, barely through with a high school education, and how dare you want a college education and you want different things than we want for our family. I wanted my children to be raised in the church. So that, I love my family. And I love the fact that, I had support there, but I know I wanted something different for my own children. And so my faith is really what carried me through. It taught me how to be humble and accept help from my family and people I knew. But at the same time, do not stop praying, do not stop worshiping the Lord. And so there was times that I felt in my mind and heart, I had to separate myself from my family if I wanted to have a faith life. And so there was criticism that went along with that too. Because who are you? You're a teenage mother. Do you think God can use you? Do you think you really believe and trust God when, you're struggling so bad financially with 2 small kids? Yeah.
So Regina, where did that faith come from? Where did that faith in God and was that something that, a grandma, because a lot of people say, my grandma took us to church every Sunday. And, if you live in this house or your mama, you got to go to church. So I do believe that there is a huge difference in religion and spirituality. So it sounds like, and we've talked about in this podcast about how there's a difference, in the spirit and the soul, and how we all have a spirit that lives within us, but we have to tap into that. So as a young mom, where did you get that? How did you accomplish that?
I believe in hindsight. I honestly know. I don't just believe. I know that God, that's what God had for me at an early age, because we were sent to church, but my parents didn't attend church. And I don't remember my maternal grandmother. She did go to church, but I seen things in her life that let me know that it didn't come from her. Not the spirituality I had, not the steadfastness I desire to know God. It did not come from my family. I was baptized at 7, so I know that there was somebody in that church praying for me. or that knew God had his hand on me. And I even knew that as a child and as a teenager when I was doing childhood things and I made a mistake, that I was convicted for those things. So as I grew into a young woman, especially after having children, God, as I said, God began showing me women, older women in my life that I can glean from, that this is the example. This is who I'm using right now to strengthen your faith. But I cannot say it came from my family. Now, my family will not be pleased with this book. Some family members will not be pleased with this book because they don't get credit for that.
Well, one of the things, and you bring up the book, and we're going to talk about that a little. We're going to go dig into that a little bit more too. So I am just so I'm so excited that you're sharing this as a young mom, because I was a 19-year-old mom too for the first time. And I also knew at an early age that there was a whole lot more out there in this world for me than that. Mm-hmm. And, I would go into my quiet places and have that time with the Lord. So I would ask you, Regina, what advice would you give to someone who is feeling stuck or unfulfilled in their current life situation, or their path? What advice would you give that person?
I would keep it as simple as possible. Do something different. If it's a cooking class, if it's going next door to have a conversation with the neighbor that you really don't know, implement something different. Start journaling, tap into a craft or something that you've been kind of interested in, but wasn't sure if you had the talent for. Do something different. Because when we do something different, more than likely we're going to be introduced to new people, more insight. Take a class, join a community group, do something different, start exercising. It's just going to give you some insight into what is possible. You can get out of that rut.
Absolutely. And so, Regina, doing all of this realigning, what difference has that made in your life today?
It has, my faith has been developing over the years, but doing this drastic change, moving to Northern Virginia, away from what I know and I'm comfortable with.
So that is doing something different, right?
It has boosted my confidence.
Great.
It has boosted my faith. Because I don't think I would have did that if I was of the mindset that God is not with me wherever I go. And I've had that mindset for a while now, that because of my background, my family background, the changes I've been through with parenting and in jobs, I've learned that God is always there. He can do something different with me. And it's okay, because he ain't going nowhere. Just the circumstances have changed.
Exactly. So, Regina, you talk about this recent change and this recent realignment that you've done in your life. So talk to us as a woman that is past the age of 30 and was a homeowner and a grandmother, and has just, with a family that is rooted here in North Carolina, and you just make this drastic move. So I'm telling you, I didn't even know it. I mean, I'm like, you did what? When you told me you had sold your house, I'm like, you. So tell us what motivated you to do that, And I hear you saying that the advice that you would give to others is do something different. So you did something different. How did that all come about?
Well, it came about because I know you've heard that the saying that, if you don't move, God will move you. And he moved me by his sadness. I don't want to diminish sadness or depression in any way because somebody's struggling with it. I don't want to just dismiss it and brush it away as if it's nothing. And so I had lost two cousins last year within months of each other who were just a little bit older than me. Both were not even 70. One was 70 and one would have been 70 in December 2022. But it made me look at my life. I was evaluating whether or not I had processed my mother's death, grief. Somebody that I know had just lost their mom, and they went through some depression. It wasn't, so even though they were professional in the field of counseling, it still sent them to a place that, they couldn't share publicly. And so I asked myself, what are you doing? I was in a place of sadness and I wasn't even sure where it was coming from. And I was like, what are you doing with your life? And then I start taking inventory of my life, my relationships, long-time relationships. Those don't have to go anywhere. My family ties, my place in the family. I just took inventory. And I really could not come up with an excuse for staying in the same situation. I was struggling financially. I didn't want to be one of those people who sold the house just because the market was good. I seriously took inventory. Do I need this 3-bedroom house? I don't even entertain anymore like I used to. I'm not inviting people in like I used to. So would it benefit me to sell the house? And do I trust God enough to be in a different situation? Yes, I do. And so I just took inventory. I'm a person that takes inventory anyway because I journal and I reflect. And so after taking inventory of where I was in my relationships, what I had materially, and where I was mentally and health wise, it didn't make sense to not try something different.
Well, sister, I tell you what, I certainly admire you for that. And I can remember when I was transitioning out of my corporate job that we had known each other before that. But, one of the things that, I do know about you is that you are an encourager and that you are a supporter and that you are a lover of people and that it doesn't matter for you as a person, and I've seen this in you, that I'll come alongside. It doesn't matter if I get the glory or not, or who gets the recognition, but it's all about being supported. You supported, my nonprofit, God's Kind of Woman, from its very conception. Not only have you supported God's Kind of Woman as far as coming along as a helper, but you supported us financially too. And I just can't thank you enough for that. And through all of this that you have gone through and the realignment of your life, you are just one magnificent woman.
Thank you.
I just want you to know that. And I just, I really value your friendship, and we can always learn from each other. We can always learn from each other. Yeah. I'm learning from you, and I do hope that I've been some kind of a role model for you. And I know that as you have all of the different roles that you've worked, and you've worked many, you have worked with young girls,
Mm-hmm.
You have worked with those that are mentally and emotionally and physically challenged. And I love the fact that you talked about the fact that, and I think this is a part of your field that you work in, that you do not give less meaning to depression because that is real. So can you talk about that a little bit from your professional point of view, as well as therapy and counseling?
So when I started back in 2007, which is around the time I met Vivian and a group that we were in, when I finally, my youngest, like you said, was about 15, and I made up my mind to finally complete a degree. I didn't know how many at the time. I had no doubt. I think I shared with that group then. I didn't know what I was going to get the degree in. I just know that I had been working on an AA degree for about 15 years. At the time, 10 years. And then I had no doubt it was going to be human services. So based on my background, what I had experienced in my family, my community, being a teenage mom, I had no doubt it was going to be human services, serving other people. And over time, I just wanted to learn all I could about human service delivery. How do people find themselves needing help? And that's not really based on income. My dream was to study sociology, and God gave me a year to do that. So sociology is just learning about culture, people, the beginning of religions. I'm just so drawn to people. And I'm passionate about people and their story and their needs. And so that's how I decided on getting degrees in human services. Over the years, Vivian, God has given me so much insight into suffering and how we wear masks. I've even heard you speak about wearing masks. Because we listen to society about what we should be, how we should act, what we should know at a certain age. And so I'm just so passionate about people understanding who they are and being able to have a healthy mind, body, and soul.
Well, and that is so important. And that is so important as we walk into realigning our lives. And for that, you have finally stepped out and began, your even your email talks about who you are, well read. So, you finally have brought all of this journaling that you've done over the years into culminating a book. So tell us more about your book that you're writing, if you can.
I can. It's no big secret. Everybody's story is special, and so mine certainly is. But I do not think it's special to the point that it's better than anybody else's story. I truly believe that everybody should have an opportunity to tell their story. I know that's one thing you've been doing with your ministry. It's just so important that people understand their own story and know that their story is unique. And so this book is a reflection of what I've gleaned over the years from God's word, from my own personal life experiences, and the education that really was a lifesaver to me. So learning the medicine behind mental health. and learning and understanding anatomy, physiology, how the mind, body, and soul work together. That's been a gift that God gave me. It's helped me heal, and it has helped me heal some relationships, and it helps me engage other people in relationships. So the education part definitely is a blessing from God. And so the book is a reflection of that, my spiritual journey, my experiences, my personal experiences, and my education, coming to understand how people interact with each other.
And the name of your book
is I See. I really believe God has given me sight, spiritual sight, into some things about humanity and relationships and understanding my own journey. So I see by the grace given me by God, and He gave me that title about 15 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I see.
So, and that goes to show that we can never give up on our dreams.
Mm-mm.
We can never, and once again, that goes back to that purpose, that passion, and that potential. It all ties in together. Yes. And we are knowledgeable about finding who we are in purpose. Yeah. And I'm not sure you've been to many of our retreats and many of the workshops that's put on by God's Kind of Woman and Vivian Richardson Resources. And one of those workshops was Blueprint for Success, which has now been, that name has now changed to Realigning Your Life, which has helped people tremendously in finding what their purpose is. Because without knowing our purpose, we just flounder around in life and we just float around. So I am so excited. I cannot wait until this book is released. And how soon do you think that's going to be, Regina?
Vivian, it should be very soon. I'm technically finished writing the book. Right now, the process of deciding if I'm going to self-publish or get the aid of a publisher. But the book is written, and I'm excited about it. I do know that there's going to be another one, but I don't want to speak too much on that and get ahead of God. But I did want to say, for the purpose of encouraging others, I'm finally at a place where I do know what I'm passionate about, and I'm willing to make that a priority, if that makes sense. When you were doing your introduction and you mentioned potential and purpose and passion, that just spoke to me. I'm like, yes, that's been part of my journey, finding that purpose and potential and passion.
That's wonderful, Regina. So how can, when this book comes out, what is the thing? Is there anything that you would say to our listening audience? Well, one of the things that I do want to say to this listening audience is that you heard her say that she's possibly looking for a publisher. Yeah. So if there's anybody out there with that skill set that you might want to contact Regina. So Regina, how can they contact you?
You can find me at wellread64@gmail.com. I am on Instagram, the same, wellread@gmail.com is how you find me on Instagram. I will soon be on Spotify as well, and LinkedIn. You can find me as Regina Stratford on LinkedIn.
Regina, thank you so much for sharing your heart and your soul with us today. I am sure that someone listening here today will truly be helped in this process of being able to find their purpose, passion, and their potential. Just like And even though it was hidden and it was there inside of you at a very, very early age, it can be the same thing for somebody that is listening to us today. So I truly hope that you are inspired to change that, and that you can know that you can overcome obstacles and you can definitely make changes in your life. So our guest today has provided us some wonderful, wonderful guidance into those that are listening who are looking to make similar changes in their lives and to be able to realign their lives. Yeah. So, Regina, I would ask you, what are 3 things that you would share with our listeners today?
I would say definitely value your quiet time. You need that quiet time during your week to discover what you're passionate about. I would say write down your thoughts, whether it's in a formal journal or you are a person that makes lists or make stickies and put them on your bathroom mirror. Write down your thoughts, because it's easy to have a thought and then a day later say, what was that? Write down your thoughts. Find a way to write down your thoughts so that you can go back and reflect. And then, Vivian, I would say value your health. Because if you do not have a healthy body, it's going to affect your mind. It's going to affect your heart. It's going to affect how you engage people, your relationships. One thing I can look back and see, though I was inconsistent, was I did make time for health. You have to make time for health. You only get this one body.
So I hear you say, make time for yourself. Be still, write down your thoughts, and take care of your body. So listeners, I hope you take that advice to heart. I want to thank you, Regina, again.
Thank you, Vivian.
For us today. And we'll look forward to that book of I See by the Grace Given by God.
Yes.
We look forward to that. And I want to thank you again for tuning in to Realign Your Life.
Thank you, Vivian.
Fine. In the meantime, take care, peace, and we love you.
Thank you, Vivian.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. The best gift that you could give me is to share this podcast with family and friends. And don't forget to review it. That way, this podcast will grow organically. If you need to reach out to me, please check out my Facebook page, DM me there, or you can email me at godskow@gmail.com. We have upcoming Bible studies that we would love for you to join us in, or if there is a guest or someone that you would like to see me interview on this podcast, please let me know. We are here to work together to realign our lives. Until the next episode, take care, and I look forward to sharing more and more with you as we realign our lives. Peace until next week.